So, I wanted to talk today about something I'm not sure if I should talk about, um, given the current time we live in. I don't want to seem insensitive to the kind of climate of fear that a lot of people are living in. But there has been something pressing on my heart that I wanted to share, even if it's a little controversial. So years ago, my little girl was diagnosed with a disability. She has extremely deadly food allergies. And before you brush that off, it means that if any of the dust particles, the food proteins, the invisible food proteins, get into her system, she breathes them in, any of that stuff, it will kill her. And we know this from a hospital visit, ER visits, doctors testing, a lot of close calls. This is just the reality of something we live with, and I'm not trying to exaggerate it to be dramatic. It's just something we've faced for a long time. So anytime we leave the house, I know that there is invisible dangers out there that could potentially kill my child, and that's been hard. But one thing that I can tell you from personal experience is the amount of people that have been willing to be inconvenienced in order to keep my child safe. I could probably count them on both hands. The majority of people do not want to be inconvenienced to keep my little girl safe. And this is over food, which I think is not that big of a deal. But, I'll have other parents at my kids' dance practice who know there's a kid who has a nut allergy and they're still sending their kids with nut bars to eat. So every time my child goes into dance class, I know she could come out and we could be rushing to the hospital and she could die. So this is something we've just learned how to deal with. Now, despite knowing this and taking steps to make sure she's safe, there are certain levels I wasn't willing to go to. For example, I didn't demand that all peanut farmers in the US be shut down just to keep my child safe. I didn't, go out boycotting Jif and insist nobody gets to have peanuts at all. I just knew the difference between steps I had to take to protect my child and things that were really none of my business and would be an overreach of me infringing on to the rights of others. So just living with this reality, flash forward to the coronavirus. Now suddenly, a lot of parents across the US are facing the reality that when their children leave their house, there is an invisible enemy that could potentially kill them. And I get the terror. It is terrifying. What I don't understand is how everything has had to come to a screeching halt because of this. There are a lot of people claiming that they are advocating this quarantine to protect the good of the world, other people. I really struggle with that because from personal experience, there was barely anybody willing to be inconvenienced to keep my kids safe. So I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm just saying I don't think that's why people are doing this. I think they're doing it because they're afraid and they're trying to protect those they love. It's not for the betterment of the world. It's that they are scared. And I get it. It is scary. It is incredibly scary. But having gone through trauma, even when things are scary and even when your heart breaks, the world doesn't stop. Time does not stop. This idea that we can pause everything and just wait for a cure is a false reality. Currently, for every one person who has the coronavirus, 100 people have lost their jobs. So for one person who has the virus, 100 people have lost their jobs. Now, before you say, well, wait a second, you're a young, healthy person. You don't know my grandma who would die from this, or you don't know my disorder and high risk. I want you to know something. If I get this virus, I would probably die. I have a lung condition. That means my chance of surviving this are almost slim to none. And I'm not trying to be dramatic or to be casual about that, either one. I'm just saying reality-wise, that is what I am looking at. Knowing that, I still would not expect 100 people to lose their jobs so I could be safe. I just don't even see that as an option. Why is it an option to just try to stop the whole world? There should be other options on the table of managing this. And stopping everything, which is impossible, no matter how hard we try, would not even be one for me. So I'm not saying the virus isn't terrifying. I think it is. But I'm also saying, have we gone too far? That's what I'm saying. I don't want us to be like the mythical Hercules when he's tried to slay the Hydra. He, let's just say metaphorically, the sword of forced quarantine on the entire civilization cuts off the Hydra's head, doesn't stop the virus. Coronavirus is still there, but other problems pop up in the place. We have economic depression. We have loss of fundamental human rights. I do not know if we've gone too far, but I feel like this might be an overreach. And I do not want to say that I don't care about saving people's lives, but you cannot say, well, I care more about saving people's lives than I do about the economy. That doesn't make any sense to me, because in a textbook, we can divide those into happy little categories. Well, this is saving people's lives, and this is the economy. But in the real world, it doesn't work like that, because everything is meshed together. The economy is not some surreal notion out there that's just something we debate in classes in college. The economy is made up of people's livelihoods. People's livelihoods are part of their lives. So if you say, I care about people's lives, you have to care about their jobs. You have to care about their health. And I'm saying you can care about both without having to pick and choose the other. So I'm just saying that perhaps we might have gone too far in this fear of this virus, that we need to look at the whole picture. We need to look at other ways to manage this, besides this trying to stop the world and pause it. Because the same people who are online who are advocating for this total quarantine and are snooping on their neighbors to see if they have dared to step outside their house, you know, the HOA presidents who have become Barney Fife with this quarantine, are the same people that are super irritated that companies are laying off workers left and right, and they say they're being selfish with their money. But the truth is if you don't have money coming in because you aren't open, you can't pay these employees, so you lay them off. Money comes from work. It just doesn't grow from the ground and some rich person has it and is hoarding it all. It comes from work. So if you close down companies, they're going to have to let the employees go. They have no money to pay them with. And that's how it works. So that's all I have to say about that. Leave comments. I'm sure there are people out there who disagree with me, and I'd be willing to debate the issue. Again, I know it's scary. I get it. If I get this virus, I mean, it would not be good for me. And I'm still standing here and saying, I don't have the right to take away a whole nation's jobs just so I can hide in my home.